Hello students, welcome you all to Sunya IAS. Today's topic for mains article discussion is Manipur Unrest. Recently you would have seen in news how Manipur Unrest has created the news all over India. The mainstreaming of northeastern region, the point in our Act East policy that we want to integrate our northeastern region with the mainland of India and how these problems are aggravated. Today, we will go in detail about Manipur unrest, what has led to the unrest, what are the ethnic compositions of it, what steps India has taken. Along with it, students, understand there are two important dimensions with respect to UPSC mains examination. One dimension is about the security, national security or internal security. You understand northeastern region is susceptible to drug trafficking, and these issues, these kind of unrest provide a breeding ground for the perpetrators of the drug trafficking, human trafficking. Okay, these kind of issues are there into the Manipur unrest. And another thing that is important, what has led to the unrest? There were certain problems. We will talk about what are the historical problems, what are the political problems. Apart from that, recently Scheduled Tribe Demand Committee has got its green flag for the establishment of Meeti as a scheduled tribe. This demand was, started back in 2012 itself. Okay, so 10-year long demand right now. Therefore, we will understand the inclusion of scheduled tribes. Inclusion of scheduled tribes or recognition of scheduled tribes, giving status to the scheduled tribes. What is the process therein? This is important both for mains as well as for prelims examination, because here you will get to understand the crux that the criteria is not so well defined. Therefore, the problems are emerging. Do we need to have an exact criteria? Then how do we have that objective criteria for inclusion of a scheduled tribe into the list? What are the benefits of inclusion as scheduled tribes? Why other tribes are protesting against it? Therefore, recently in Churachandpur, violence broke out, and that has led to the grave situation into the Manipur. Okay, this demand has been from long, since Manipur was integrated to India back in 1949. It was integrated to India. That time also, the Meetis say that they have that tribal status. In 1972, when Manipur became a full-fledged state, their demand was not recognized. Therefore, we will understand what are the demands, what are the logical demands for the Meetis to be included into the ST list. What are the arguments given by other tribes, Kukis, Zomis, Nagas, that the ST status should, to the Meetis should not be given. Okay, we will evaluate all these factors. So let's start the class. First, let's understand the brief overview about context. It means that you need to understand the ethnic composition, the composition of Manipur, ethnic composition. Composition of Manipur. Now, students, here, just imagine. First of all, you should be aware with the map of Northeast India. Okay, you just imagine Manipur, the state of Manipur, like a big football ground. Okay, big football ground. Okay, here at the center where the ground is there, like stadium. This is the stadium. These are the different galleries, like hills. The galleries are like hills. And the center of the ground, that is called as Imphal Valley. These areas are the hilly areas. Hilly areas. Valley, you can see that here, what picture I have drawn. Valley comprises only of the 10% of land mass. 10% of land mass. Whereas 90% of land mass is with hilly areas. 90% of land mass. Okay. But students, understand, when I talk with respect to the population, when I talk with respect to their political representation, you will find the difference. This you need to understand. In the mains examination, we always talk about the data. Data is important here. That although the land is 10% and 90% distribution, Imphal Valley is dominated by non-tribal Meiteis. Non-tribal Meiteis. Whereas the hilly areas, 90% of land is dominated by tribal population. It is dominated by tribal population. Hence, this area is sending the political representation. If I talk about political representation, this particular landmass, 10% of landmass dominated by non-tribal population, is sending 40 MLAs, member of legislative assemblies, out of 60 MLAs. And the hilly areas, which comprises of huge landmass, 90% of landmass, is only and only sending 20 MLAs out of 60. You can see that how the political representation is skewed over here. Therefore, hilly or tribal people are opposing the ST status being accorded to the Meiteis. That is one of the reasons that you need to understand. Okay. So, this area, although represents 10% of landmass, what is the population of it? It represents 64%. Here it was political representation in terms of population. This area represents 64% population. And we have the provision of territorial representation. Therefore, because of the territorial representation, their political representation is strong over here. And this area represents approximately more than 35% of population. Here also it is skewed. Now, Meiteis say that, understand this point carefully. Meiteis say that the people of tribal regions can purchase land into non-tribal area, into the valley. Therefore, they are making their inroads into the valley. Therefore, they call it shrinking Imphal Valley. One of the issues because of this ethnic composition is shrinking Imphal Valley. समझ में आया? Imphal Valley जो है, here different tribes are coming and purchasing lands, but into the tribal lands, into the hills, ये लोग जाकर के लैंड नहीं परचेज कर सकते हैं. They cannot purchase land here. This is not allowed. Therefore, Meiteis are saying that although we have good political representation, although we have better population composition, but in future, the demographic dividend is changing. They are able to purchase land in the valley, whereas we cannot purchase land into the hills. Hence, we need constitutional safeguard by giving us ST status, scheduled tribe status. Therefore, we can also purchase land into the hilly areas. We can also have educational reservation in government jobs we can have. Therefore, they want constitutional safeguards. This has been the main bone of contention among these two communities. It's a fight between communities you will find here because of the different ethnic composition. Moreover, Meiteis are fearful that the demand from the Nagas about greater Naga limb, if Nagas just succeed in doing that, therefore different proxy groups are coming up. That is leading to the problem of internal security into that area. Okay, like Naga Accord, peace deals, government of India is signing with them, but different proxy groups are coming up and with a different name. Therefore, these problems are not solving over here. And hence, Meiteis are saying we want a constitutional safeguard for that matter. Okay. So, let's understand the overview of Manipur's socio-cultural political conditions. Historical context, ethnic distribution of tribes, political representation, socio-economic conditions and recent developments. देखो historical context में समझते हैं सबसे पहले. Like Manipur state, okay, 1949, ठीक है, it was merged to India. And sometimes people are saying that the people of Manipur are saying that this was a forced merger. Forced merger. Therefore ये एक प्रॉब्लम की तरह देखा जाता है कि इंडिया के साथ मेन स्ट्रीमिंग हो पा रही है कि नहीं हो पा रही है हमारी. इट वॉज अ फोर्स्ड मर्जर. देयरफॉर एनी डिमांड दे आर रेजिंग एंड द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया इज नॉट एबल टू अकॉर्ड इट, देन दे आर कॉलिंग इट दैट इट वॉज अ फोर्स्ड मर्जर. इट वॉज नॉट बाय द विल ऑफ द पीपल. ट्राइबल आर्मी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट. उनको अपनी ऑटोनॉमी चाहिए. whenever we are sending army for any kind of peace over there, therefore they are saying that we want more and more autonomy, and that is a problem. Inner line permit system, this was introduced by Britishers. ठीक है. Different factions in the Manipur are demanding different outputs. There some people are saying that we want extension of inner line permit system. Inner line permit system. Some factions are saying that completely let's abolish this inner line permit system. किसकी बात मानी जाए? That becomes a conflicting ground over there. If I talk about ethnic distribution, okay, in terms of population, you already knows this is 64% approximately. Kukis and Nagas are the largest. Then Kukis are the second largest tribes in terms of tribal population, I say. Okay, approximately 35% tribal population is there. Here also the problem is bigger problem is that majorities are, अगर हम ethnic distribution की बात करें तो majority in majority Meetis are there. Meetis are mostly Hindus. ये हिंदू हैं. Then this population is followed by Muslims. Okay, Muslims के बाद you will find 33 recognized tribes. 33 recognized tribes. 33 recognized tribes are there, among which Nagas and Kukis form the majority of it. Zaumis are also there. ठीक है, तो Hindu Muslim majorities are Hindu. It takes sometimes communal color also. Hindu versus Muslims. Okay, some tribal people are Christians also. So Hindu versus Muslim, religious minority and majority conflict also starts over there into the ethnic distribution. Political representation, if I talk about legislative assembly. In the beginning only, in the overview I have told you, see, understand students, political representation, why it matters to them. ये समझना ज़रूरी है. This point is important because अगर हमारे MLAs जा रहे हैं वहाँ पे, different kinds of policies they are making. If more number of representatives come from valley, therefore developmental projects will be dedicated towards valley. देखो एक geographical reason भी है कि हम hilly terrains पे maximum projects नहीं बना सकते हैं. It will be difficult to have different kinds of developmental projects in the hilly terrains. Therefore focus is on the hilly in the valley region. तो इसलिए political representation is skewed, leading to the skewed budgeting outputs. For that they want more and more political representation into the legislative assembly. This is their crucial demand. Representation of Kukis and Nagas comparatively less. Autonomous district councils, there are 2 autonomous district councils, but वो भी mostly they are like not functional in terms of they are just looking at administrative works. ठीक है, autonomous district councils बहुत ज़्यादा effective नहीं है वहाँ पे. ठीक है, Kukis ने have formed their own a different organization altogether for their own liberation. तो सब अपने political representation को increase करना चाह रहे हैं. That is one of the aspects. If I talk about socio-economic conditions, poverty, Manipur is one of the poorest states in India. Okay, it is one of the poorest states in India with poverty rate of 36%, 36.89% specifically poverty rate. तो यहाँ पे poverty भी बहुत ज़्यादा है. Understand students, poverty, provides a breeding ground for different kinds of violences. Okay. You can compare it with the valley also. Valley means I'm talking about J&K. जब तक development नहीं होगा, socio-economic indicators will not be improved, तब तक यहाँ पे conflicting ground बना रहता है. So poverty, socio-economic conditions, here poverty rate is very high, 36.89%. If I talk about education, literacy rate, approximately 79% literacy rate. जो कि बहुत अच्छा है. It is better than our national average. But students, there is a disparity into this literacy state. There is disparity between valley and the hills. That is the problem. Valley और hills में अच्छी खासी disparity है in terms of education. Healthcare, देखो ये यहाँ पे this could be a very good example for your case studies. For different examples you are going to create the irony. अच्छा education होने के बावजूद poverty stricken state and problems in healthcare. As per the World Health Organization, the doctor to patient ratio should be 1:1000. ठीक है, doctor to patient ratio. But यहाँ का health indicator shows that for one doctor there are 2400 patients approximately. Doctor to patient ratio is poor, so health indicators are not improving. Education wise they are doing good, but skewed education is there, and poverty and healthcare are also problems. Therefore recent developments, थोड़ा सा हमने एक ओवरव्यू लिया डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट से. व्हाट हैज बीन द हिस्टोरिकल एस्पेक्ट, एथनिक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, रिलीजियस डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, ओके, पॉपुलेशन डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, लैंड मास डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन. फ्रॉम देयर वी अंडरस्टूड द प्रॉब्लम इन देयर पॉलिटिकल रिप्रेजेंटेशन. ठीक है, सोशियो इकोनॉमिक कंडीशंस हमें समझ में आ गई हैं. नाउ लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड द रीसेंट डेवलपमेंट्स. सो हियर यू विल फाइंड डिमांड फॉर शेड्यूल्ड ट्राइब. बहुत पुरानी डिमांड है. 2011-12 से दिस डिमांड इज अपकमिंग. 2011-2012 दिस डिमांड हैज बीन देयर. From last 10 years this demand has been there and it was creating certain kinds of conflicts already. अभी एकदम जो ट्रिगर कहते हैं, ओके, ट्रिगर पॉइंट वाज वायलेंस इन चुराचंदपुर विलेजेस. क्या हुआ वहां पे? 38 विलेज सेटलमेंट्स, 38 विलेज सेटलमेंट्स were declared as unlawful settlements. तो हमने वहां पे गवर्नमेंट said that we will evict all these villages, and that created bigger violence, unrest, properly unrest amongst the communities. And then it led, and on top of that, demand was accepted by High Court. That High Court said, Manipur High Court said that okay, ST status to Manipur should be given, and this particular incident got aggravated. Churachandpur, Khopum, the village is there. That violence became huge. That took the shape. Now let's understand demand for scheduled tribe status by Meiteis community, reasons and its implications. Because certain reasons are given. First reason, the foremost, because देखो already Manipur High Court has come up with a directive. It has already come up with a directive that this should be given. It means that the analysis by the judiciary has been done, and the criteria which should have been recognized, they have accepted it. This has been a long-standing demand from 10-11 years. Scheduled Tribes Demand Committee was there. It was demanding it. They have presented the reasons. Recognition as a tribe. क्योंकि वो कहते हैं कि जब हम prior to the merger with India, we were being recognized as tribe. Only why Indian government is not ready to give us the status of the tribe? They are saying that. Therefore, recognition. That right now, whatever changes, the directives given by the High Court is nothing new. But we are just recognizing the tribe that was prior a tribe. Constitutional safeguards and land ownership. Their reason is this. They are saying कि we have a shrinking Imphal Valley. वहां से लोग आकर के they are purchasing lands over here. तो फिर land ownership हमारी जो है shrink होती जा रही है. That is going to impact long term different aspects of the development of Meitei community. This is the reason why they are demanding it. Okay. Moreover, they are saying that there is a gradual marginalization. Gradual marginalization means that they are saying कि जो नया demographic change आ रहा है, that change is making it difficult for their population to grow. They are saying that as per the census data, we can see that although we are in majority, although Meiteis are in majority, but their population is shrinking. This is called as gradual marginalization. They also fear that the demand of Greater Naga limb may be accepted and their population will be reduced in their own ancestral land. Therefore, they want their inclusion into the ST status. Now let's understand what are the implications and concerns of granting ST status to Methi community? What are the concerns? पहला है job loss and land acquisition concerns. Now, if ST status is accorded, what will happen? They can procure land into hilly areas. Okay, they can procure land into hilly areas. Therefore, there will be more job loss to these people because they would have reservations. ST reservation in jobs. In jobs. तो फिर job loss किसका होगा? Hilly people. This will actually lead to dilution of benefits. अगर सबको ही ST status मिल रहा है, then what is the purpose of ST status? What is the benefit with the ST status? If equally the whole of the state, all the communities are being accorded with the ST status, what benefit you are giving to a particular community? No benefit. समझ रहे हो बात को? Dilution of the benefits. लैंड एंड आइडेंटिटी कंसर्न्स. लैंड एंड आइडेंटिटी कंसर्न्स, देखो ये प्रॉब्लम दोनों की है बेसिकली. On one hand, Methi community is saying that our ancestral land, different kind of population is acquiring, tribal population is acquiring. Whereas the tribal people feel that they have some customary traditional practices. If Methis find inroads into the hills, their customary practices will be affected. Therefore, their land and identity concerns will be affected. Political representation, they will say that already वो political majority में है, अब उनको रिजर्वेशन भी दे दोगे, their majority will be strengthened. They say that the Kuki tribes, Naga tribes say that कि ये एक strategy है, this is a political strategy by Methi to attenuate and expand their valley population even into the hills. They want to acquire the hilly region. Okay, this right now might seem as an acquisition, but they are fearful about it. Therefore, they are saying that it should not be accorded ST status. Methi should not be accorded ST status. Now, ST status to a community, let's understand. So, pehle students, let's understand how ST status is being accorded. What is the process? This point, this is important for your prelims examination as well. Okay? Therefore, we say of integrated preparation of prelims and mains. You cannot isolate these two preparations exactly. ठीक है, अभी यहाँ पे एक important point है. What is the process of recognition as an ST community? Okay, first point is the state government. State government sends up their notification to the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Ministry of Tribal Affairs, yes, that this community should be accorded ST status. Then what happens? This Ministry of Tribal Affairs takes some data from the Registrar General of India, from the Registrar General of India. Registrar General of India works under which ministry? The question to you, ये किस ministry के अंदर work करता है? Ministry of Home Affairs. याद रखना है ये सब points. Ministry of Home Affairs. तो फिर after Registrar General, the information is conveyed to National Commission for Scheduled Tribes. अब देखो, constitutional, non-constitutional body already in your polity syllabus. ठीक है, वहां से भी देखना है इसको. National Commission for Scheduled Tribes. After the approval is given by National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, then they submit that yes, this community should be included, and then final approval comes from the cabinet. Final approval comes from the cabinet, and after the cabinet approves it, a bill is introduced into the parliament, okay, for the constitutional safeguard. And after the bill is passed, basically after the parliament through the bill it is passed, then finally President Office declares. President Office declares the particular tribe as scheduled tribe. Here Article 341 and Article 342 are very important. देखो, in the prelims examination sometimes you will find that the parliament finally declares it. No, it is the presidential order. It is the presidential order. Basically presidential order बहुत पहले से है. Whenever you will find that act, it is from time back. क्या होता है, उस order में एक change हो जाता है. That is notified basically. In the presidential order, a new notification is added. That's it. It is not an amendment or not a particular thing by the parliament. ठीक है. So this process you should be remembering. What is the process for inclusion into ST tribes? ठीक है. Now let's look at status of scheduled tribes in India. Started back in 1931 census. There is no defined criteria. देखो different हमारी committees बनी है. Okay, like Zaza committee. It is also pronounced as Khaka committee. Okay, so they have tried to identify for PVTGs, particularly vulnerable tribal groups, scheduled tribes. Different tribes are there. Some tribes are more primitive. Some tribes have accommodated with mainstreaming culture. Point is, there is no definite criteria. If we can talk about poverty, we can talk about their primitive status, we can talk about dependency on agricultural output only. Different kinds of industrialization goods, they are not capable of using it. So on that we are doing it case by case basis, not on a composite criteria particularly. Now, procedure for inclusion of communities into ST list, qualification criteria, verification of eligibility. Now, this eligibility is something like vague: educational, health, poverty, primitive nature. On that basis, we calculate this eligibility. Recommendations by the state. पहले तो state government different eligibility criteria देखेगी. After that, state government recommends. It recommends to whom? Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Consultation with local bodies and approval by the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, NCST. Registrar General of India से data लिया जाता है. Ministry of Tribal Affairs compares it with other tribal communities, that is it at par to give them the scheduled tribe status. Then cabinet approval comes. After the cabinet approves, publication of the notification. Here you will find that it is notified. Okay, constitutional provisions related to ST status. You will find these articles. ठीक है, ये आर्टिकल अपने को याद रखना है. आर्टिकल 342, आर्टिकल 366, fifth and sixth schedule. So many times fifth and sixth schedules has been asked in prelims examination. Prelims. Lakshmikant, fifth, sixth schedules. All the schedules are important. 12 के 12 schedules are important. Okay. So these things. And then benefits of ST status. क्यों ST status के पीछे हम जा रहे हैं? What is the benefit of ST status? You will find it that reservation रिजर्वेशन इन एजुकेशन, गवर्नमेंट जॉब्स, इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट कितनी अच्छी हो जाएगी वहां पे उस पर्टिकुलर कम्युनिटी के लिए. प्रिजर्वेशन ऑफ कल्चर एंड हेरिटेज. प्रिजर्वेशन ऑफ कल्चर एंड हेरिटेज. सी for example, the language of Methi is included in the 8th schedule. If I talk about this, language of Methi is included in 8th schedule. 5th, 6th schedule we have studied here. 5th, 6th, 8th schedule, the language, what protection it gets because of that. This has also been a question. We have talked about ethnic composition. Language gives you an important point over here. So language of Methi has already been included over there. Empowerment and representation. More representation, political representation. Protection of tribal land and resources. You know, protection of tribal land, because if the area has this community has tribal land, therefore no other person apart from the tribes can purchase land over there. So land, culture, identity, these three things are important over here. Land, you know, area of the land. Culture, the different tribal people have culture different from the non-tribal people, their customary practices. And identity crisis in terms of identity, in terms of their economic, government jobs, the developmental aspects. Challenges of ST status criteria. One challenge in general, we feel that it is about over inclusion and dilution of ST status. This problem of ST, if I talk about reservation, relate it with the holistic reservation. Reservation or any kind of these things. Women reservation, let's talk. These are mere tools. They are not a panacea to solve all the problem. Okay, reservation means we are providing them at equal footing. In the beginning, we are hand-holding these communities in terms of reservation, in the education sector, in the government jobs, in the political representation. But later on, we want to get over these reservation system holistically. Okay, so यहाँ पे फायदा तभी होगा. These reservation as a tool will only work if it is accorded accorded to the needy and vulnerable sections. If it is being accorded to everyone, then this tool will fail itself. Lack of clarity and consistency in the criteria. We have discussed the criteria यहाँ पे, वो clarity नहीं है, consistency नहीं है, objective criteria are not being there. Difficulty in proving identity. How do they prove their identity? That yes, they are tribal. For example, Metis are telling you that they had been tribal before merger to the India. They were recognized tribes already, but India is not recognizing them. How do they prove their identity? Opposition from non-ST communities. Non-scheduled tribe communities always oppose it. Reason is, then the benefits will be accorded. Same benefits will be accorded to the other community also. So therefore, indirectly, their benefits will be reduced. Reservation ceiling. Supreme Court has already talked about the reservation ceiling. अगर हम सबको reservation देंगे तो percentage of people into that will increase. Lack of political will sometimes. देखो, political will, although Supreme Court talks about reservation, here Manipur High Court has talked about reservation. What about the political will of the government, the state government, the national government? Misuse of ST status. Misuse of ST status. Because of your lobbying into the political space, even if you get the ST status accorded, then point is you are misusing it for a different community. That are the different challenges, not particularly with this case, but in general. Okay. So now let's understand what are the reasons behind unrest in Manipur, because this has been the crucial storyline here. So historical and cultural factors. Okay, this we have talked in detail. One of the reasons behind unrest in Manipur. Okay, mains article discussion, we are following that you have the best content right now. Okay, so what are the reasons behind it? First of all, Methi dominance in terms of territory, in terms of population, but less territory. 10% land mass is there, but 64% population is there. In terms of political representation, tribal identity, the price is on this identity, tribal identity. If Metis get this identity, they will be benefited a lot. Land disputes are happening. Why? Inroads, acquiring the land, shrinking Imphal Valley, armed groups. Okay, like KNO, Kuki National Organization. This they have formed as a politically armed group. They have formed it. Okay. United National Liberation Front. United National Liberation Front, they have formed. They are fighting for their own liberation, tribal liberation of the communities. These problems are creating problems for the Northeast insurgency. Northeast insurgency. Okay? One point is this. This historical and cultural factors provides a breeding ground for Kuki-Methi divide, tribal non-tribal divide. On historical background, ethnic tensions, land disputes, demand for separate autonomous districts, ADCs, demand for separate autonomous districts, and lack of dialogue and understanding. These two tribes are not on a dialogue front. The bigger problem in democracy like India, we need to have dialogues. Democracy and dialogue, difference of opinion should be there, but through dialogues the problem should be solved. Political factors, lack of political representation, corruption is there, Armed Persons Safety Rights Act, AFSPA has been, and criminal and political instability. AFSPA has been implemented over there few times back. Then they resisted. Right now AFSPA has been uplifted from there. They resisted that if AFSPA is there, it is not recognizing that these people belong to India only. But in the extreme cases, as a teleological aspect of the development, not the ontological aspect of development, we put AFSPA over there also. Therefore, people are against the state sometimes. Therefore, they have formed some military groups, military factions have been formed. Geopolitical factors देखते हैं, reasons क्या हैं? Border disputes. Myanmar is sharing border there. With Myanmar, there are border disputes that are happening with Manipur. Drug trafficking, it is near to the Golden Triangle. Myanmar, Laos, Thailand, okay, they are near to the Golden Triangle for the drug trafficking. So drug trafficking, this kind of money goes to the organized crimes. Organized crimes. Insurgent activities, that I told you, problem of northeast insurgency. So kabhi bhi internal security, you are getting question into the mains examination about internal security of northeastern insurgency. You can talk great much about Manipur issue, Manipur unrest, that is aggravating the problems of northeastern insurgency. Regional politics. Take regional politics means this politics is not divided on the developmental goals. They should be divided. Without division, democracy cannot work. But you should be divided on different agendas, not on the particular communities, not on the particular, only one issue you should not be divided. Economic factors, unemployment, because of the unemployment, youth is disillusioned. They are moving away from the Manipur, whether it be tribal regions or the valleys, in search of different kinds of jobs. Dependence on agriculture. देखो एक reason important है for the inclusion into the criteria of ST status. Much dependence on agriculture. Lack of industrialization is there. Uska one important factor is coming from the geographical factors, that 90% of land area is already hilly area. Therefore, वहाँ पे industrialization may take some time. And informal economy. Formalization of economy, we need to push over there. So these are the reasons behind the unrest into the Manipur. Impact of Manipur unrest on regional security. Look at it. Border security, militancy and extremism. Okay? I'm just discussing you simple points over here. Increased cross-border criminal activities. Will it be there or not? Cross-border criminal activities. Weakening in border security and impact on overall regional security. This particular slide you can understand with respect to internal security. So we need to strengthen these things. हो क्या रहा है? Cause and effect relationship. The cause, that is the demand for the acceptance of the demand of the ST status, is leading to the effect of unrest, conflict, aggravated conflict, and it is creating problem to our overall internal security. Cross-border insurgencies are happening. Militancy and extreme, it provides fertile ground for militant groups such as KNO, UNLF. Okay. These political organizations form certain proxy groups and they are doing militant activities. So problem kahin aur hai. Political problem getting translated into national security issues. You are getting the point. So we need to solve one problem from two different strategies. Multiple strategies are required. Jahan pe sabse important cheez hai, dialogue is not happening. Rise in extremist activities and destabilization of the region. The region gets destabilized. And you know, Chicken's Corridor, we have one way to reach to the northeastern region is Chicken's Corridor. The Look East policy of India, Act East policy of India. Now from the Look East, we are looking towards west and acting towards east. Okay. So ये जो policy है, Act East policy, this is getting hampered because of the destabilization into the region. Social cohesion and human rights. Internal displacement, if I talk about migration and reverse migration, internal displacement of people. This is happening. We have talked in terms of unemployment also. Human rights violation. Agar AFSPA laga rahe ho, AFSPA, then it is human rights violation. Fundamental rights that are being violated. How we are talking about improving the socio-economic indicators of these people, it becomes a challenge to us. Impact on socio-economic cohesion and harmony. One topic that UPSC asked in the mains examination is social capital. देखो students, I want you कि रटना नहीं हमको बहुत ज़्यादा. Don't cram much, but understand and interlink the topics in a better manner. What is we are calling as social capital? Social capital is the trust that community has in its own resources, in its own government, in its own administration. That is lacking somewhere. If our administration, if our government system, if our political machinery, the framework is not able to, step up and solve these problems, then there is lack of social cohesion, socio-economic cohesion and social capital, which is not good for the growth of overall country. Implications for diplomacy and economic development. Diplomacy, the Act East policy that I was talking you. Strained relations and neighboring countries. With neighboring countries, you know the problem in the Myanmar that are happening over there. So उनके साथ भी the relations could not be developed that amicably. Hindrance to economic development. Many projects, even through international collaboration, we are finding these projects, their execution becomes tough. It affects India's Act East policy objectives. Government efforts to address the Manipur unrest. Strengthening law and enforcement, political engagement, termination of suspension operations agreements, and development in the region. Here you need to understand that it is about capacity building. Capacity building. We need more manpower. Because we are not just solving the problem of insurgency or terrorism over there or conflict resolving, but we want more people to establish peace over there. Therefore, capacity building and strengthening the law enforcement agencies. Without law, there is anarchy. Okay, we don't want an anarchy situation, lawlessness over there. Therefore, capacity building should be there. Political engagements to build more trust, find different areas to build more trust, find different areas of agreement. Agreement with different communities. Piecemeal approach can be started. It can be started with a piecemeal approach. Okay, so this kind of political engagement will bring dialogues with different communities, with different tribal groups, their representatives, and hence it could be started in a piecemeal manner. Termination of suspension of operations agreement. Recently, Manipur government has terminated this with two factions. First faction was Kuki National Army and second faction was Zomi Revolutionary Army. Kuki National Army and Zomi Revolutionary Army. It has terminated, and therefore they have been said that different acquisitions for them for instigating criminal activities have been suspended. Development in the region. देखो कहीं भी solution होगा, development has to come there. As a solution, development in sectors of health, education, and infrastructure. Development, if I talk about development, the pointers that you have studied in your static portion itself. For example, your Northeastern Council that was established by a separate act as a zonal council. The sitting of Northeastern Council 1971. This was established. Okay. Different ministry, Donier department basically. Donier is looking into this development activities. Okay. Gati Shakti mission, special focus on northeastern development for the infrastructure is there. Therefore, development in the region has been emphasized by the government. But still, we need to, improve our efforts to reach out to the people, to understand the deeper issues and have a dialogue with them. Then only we can solve these problems. Okay, so let's understand what could be the way forward. Okay, so here into the way forward, some short-term measures. Promotion of inter-community dialogues. Dekho, inter-community dialogues are very important for us. Therefore, their mutual problems can be resolved from there. Strengthening law enforcement that we have talked about. In the short term, we need more manpower over there. Reducing economic disparities. Therefore, economic disparities, for that more funds should be allocated into this region. More funds, more infrastructure development should be there. More districts should be included into the aspirational districts programs. Okay. Implementing socio-economic programs. Infrastructure development. Okay, PM Gati Shakti scheme can be instrumental into that. Funds infrastructure, socio-economic and trust through inter-community dialogues. Reducing economic disparities, the same point is here. In the long term, we need to address the root cause of the conflict. Whether it would be related to the land rights, identity, different kinds of marginalization of the communities. The root cause should be addressed, understood in a deeper manner. Okay. Political attenuation should be done to address these kind of root causes for the conflict. तभी हम long term solution we can look after over here. Empowering local communities through autonomous district councils. If their demand is there, local communities should be empowered, just like third tier government structure into the gram panchayat we have. Similarly, these local communities should be empowered enough. Strengthening democratic institutions. Democratic institutions means bringing in different kinds of democratic principles, infusing their political local activity with democratic principles of resolving the matter by discussion, dialogue, and diplomacy. Here you need to understand how we will implement into the institutions, so that like ADCs should be there, and they should not be just functioning administratively, but advocating the solution of different problems over there also. Encouraging regional cooperation with respect to the neighborhood countries, with respect to the neighborhood states. Subsidizing education and awareness campaigns. Just like the government subsidy, different aspects are there, whether it be food subsidy, whether it be fertilizer subsidy. In these particular regions where conflicts are so aggravated, here education should be subsidized in some manner. Okay. Apart from education, you should also consider health subsidy, because here we have seen the educational outcome has been better than the national average. But in terms of health, in terms of employment, by developing different kinds of infrastructure projects, it should be developed over there. So students, that was it for the northeastern region. Is very important for India, extremely important for India, and northeastern insurgency will be increased if we are not addressing the particular problem of Manipur unrest. Okay, long term solution we should be looking forward, and in the short term we should be strengthening our law enforcement agencies to infuse different democratic principles over there. So thank you. And the current affairs, I tell you students, right now the time is there when you start working towards your current affairs. Current affairs is such a subject that has to be worked in an integrated manner. Some topics of the mains, where while you study, you have the context, you have the background, you understand the facts, you understand the analytical aspects also, and these help you score very good marks into your prelims examination as well. For the prelims, the Sunya IAS magazine is there. Okay, I'm aligning all my classes with Sunya IAS magazine. Okay. Now, this would help you, the students who are studying through Sunya IAS magazine. You will have lectures. In these lectures, the mains content is also there, and as well as prelims content is also there. In detail analysis of mains articles and in detail analysis of prelims. After the class, what we do, we take 10 MCQs, what you have studied into the class. And after that also, I tell you how to approach different kinds of MCQ problems in resolving them. In the mains class, what we do, after the discussion of different things in the news, we write answers. Understand students, the ability to score marks comes from two things: whether you are able to write answers, and you are able to write to put right bubble to the question into the examination. So objective of this integrated current affairs batch is to put you in these two shoes correctly. Okay, so hope you can join this course whenever you want. This course is already running, prelims plus mains batch 2024. So the time is right, new year is approaching, and I would expect that more of you should become serious about this current affairs journey. And for notes, you can join our Telegram channel at t.me/shunyaNotes50. So thank you guys, and see you in the next lecture.